only one pretty much out of Asia that has a footprint covering about 100 enterprises, data from 31 countries, showing up on our platform daily, and essentially taking technology in this space from India to a global market, right? And very active in the Indian space as well. So the kind of customers that you mentioned, those were the places we started from. Yeah. So very, very heavily invested in areas like automotive. I love to kind of go deeper into those scenarios. So what we are is an industrial IoT platform company. So what that means is we help all kinds of enterprises in this arena get sensor data from industrial assets, collect them, have them aggregated from an edge perspective or from a cloud infrastructure perspective, and then allow SaaS applications to run off our platform. Right? So we have a bunch of applications that we provide in a SaaS model to our customers, plus there are a whole host of custom solutions that run off our platform, and a huge developer community with third-party apps that run on it. So, so that's in a nutshell what we do. The key, keying off for something like Industry 4.0 that got mentioned.
We'll come back on that.
Okay.
Come back on that.
Yeah. So I mean, so just from an introduction perspective, so we're a four-year-old company. Have had the privilege of having gone through a few rounds of funding, looking at it from, as I said, taking tech from here to a global kind of marketplace. So I can go at it from either the domain angle and look at how manufacturing is looking at data and kind of cover that. The other side would be, I see a lot of people that are also entering the area, and maybe students and professionals looking at entering the space. So, things that we have seen in terms of gaps and, what the industry needs and where things lie, things like that. And of course, anything to do with taking tech, to a global market. So those would be the top three things that I would love to discuss and explore further. Thanks.
Wonderful, wonderful, Iman.
Hi, thanks Bhupesh for having me here. So my name is Himanshu Goyal and I run the weather company business and acquisition we made a year and a half ago. So if you're familiar with weather.com or you're familiar with the Weather Channel app, which you may have on your Android phones or the weather app on your Apple phones, or if you would have seen CNN Weather, or you would have Googled Weather or Yahoo Weather, that's where we are. So we give data to all these platforms. So pretty much a single, most respected platform in the world on predicting weather for immediate 15 days in advance. This company was acquired a year and a half ago. The key reason was, Bhupesh talked about Industry 4.0. Weather has affected mankind since the evolution of human age, and we are always adopting to weather. Indians' seasons were very stable, and leaving Indians used to always believe there's summer in the world wherever we used to travel, and we used to make mistakes on our clothes. So, but the change in weather with all the global warming and all the politics around it nowadays, the challenge is how do you really embrace businesses with weather and ensure that there's no surprise, there's ensuring right bottom line and proactive planning for weather. So this company boasts about the world's second largest IoT platform. We ingest data to the extent of 26 petabytes of data every day, and our system support over 29 billion API calls every day. So that makes it really robust, and we give a 500 meter resolution of hyperlocal weather, which in a net sense means that 500 meters above this particular call, we can predict the entire 20 factors of atmospheric data. And every half a square kilometer you move on the Earth's surface, you will have these differentiated parameters which are getting updated every 15 minutes. So that's the level of precision which we are in, and IBM is taking it to market to our customers. It's very, very useful in predictive analytics. A couple of presentations you saw about logistics, about data science, just in past 1 hour, will have a very real impact on decision making if you interpret it with weather as to what weather would be like going forward. So I'll be keen to hear from my learned panel members on where the industry is going and essentially either we are leading or chasing those industrial solutions with weather.
Thank you, Himanshu. Thank you so much. So, whether you have been working with manufacturing industries here in India, right? So, let's come back from Germany to India, right? Industry 4.0 to our kind of industry. So, what are our problems? What are the manufacturing problems here in India? Critical problems, say top 5 problems which you can come up with your mind,
Sure.
and how we are trying to resolve using IoT or data science or anything.
Sure. So when we talk of the manufacturing scenario in India, right, and obviously manufacturing is a very large space. So you have discrete, your process, you have multiple sub-verticals and things like that. But broadly speaking, one of the interesting parts of our journey is that a lot of the problems that we looked at here, we also looked at it very similarly, but of course with some parameters changed globally. So interestingly, it was not that different when you started off, right? So the difference, of course, in India is, as you said, in 4.0, in India you will have all generation,
Yeah.
right? So you will have the cutting-edge modern plant that has everything out there that is imaginable from a German capital of some kind, and you will have the complete other end of the spectrum, right? So the first problem, in a sense, or a very interesting challenge is how do you deal with the diversity of hardware that is out there, right? Diversity of machinery that is out there, and in many ways that prepped us for taking the global market because manufacturing fortunately has a long history in India. It's 120 years old. So pretty much you look at all the major players that are out there globally, there is some equipment of some kind in some plant somewhere there, right? So in that sense, it actually prepped us for the world because we had a very diverse set of equipment that we were able to connect and learn on how to do that predictably and things like that. So first step is, of course, dealing with the device that was there. The second is basically when you look at, and this was a pleasant surprise, so I would want to highlight that as well, is that when you look at network connectivity, because that is something that, because industrial world can be both sides, it's within the shop floor as well as on the field. So if you're collecting weather data and things like that, obviously it's a lot of assets that are out there on the field. So there we have a lot of ups and downs with respect to network connectivity. So we do a project called watcherpower.org, which actually gets about power quality and availability data from almost 600 villages across India. Gives you real time, you can go and look it up, it's a public works project. So, that has a completely different set of challenges on the, ensuring that the network, fault tolerance of data showing up on the platform is built in. But on the flip side, when you look at manufacturing, interestingly, everybody has connectivity. There is hardly an industrial cluster today which doesn't have actually very good internet connectivity right up to the shop floor. The challenge maybe they may not know of it. They may perceive it to be a bigger problem than it is. There will be a 1 Mbps at least connectivity into every.
I'm surprised to hear that they have that bandwidth.
Yeah, they may not, tier 1, again, industry has different segments. Brand, tier 1, you will not have a problem. Tier 2, you'll have some problem. Tier 3, you may have obviously a larger set of problems. But again, tier 3s also tend to be clustered around large companies. So you may not have the wired, but you may have wireless options and things like that. So in that sense, the network topology part of it is kind of the second layer part of it. Third is something that got piped a lot and spoken a lot in the previous presentations, right? It is not necessarily about the algorithms, but how you present, the know-how that you have built, right? It's spot on, right? So you have to talk and augment what is already going. So if there is a daily production meeting that is happening, your report is basically augmenting that production meeting. So you need to be giving, let's say, a Fitbit view of an asset. Yes, it's a new kind of it, but that's how you want to present it. And that is staggering because then that has an actual real world impact. So, there are customers who have increased, tier 3 customers in particular is a huge area where, let's say take a sector like automotive, tier 3 manufacturers, right? Huge losses in overall equipment efficiency if you really look at it on the ground floor. So, easily you'll get 16-17% OEM enhancement by ensuring that you have automated data collection and you're giving that as an application with business context that is relevant to the supervisor running the daily production meeting, to give you one example. So, in a sense, end-to-end, there are always challenges at every layer, but these would be the top 3 things that we worked with as we kind of progressed on a journey with respect to manufacturing in particular. And the only other spin I would put it, you specifically asked about India. So the same problems exist, even if you look at it at a global level. The only difference is that maybe, here you may have to get a lot more things connected up front. But even if you are connected, there is still the data lake problem. There is this data island problem rather, and all that. So even a plant in Tennessee, you'll have a line which is pulling data, but nobody's really looking at the data, or the data infrastructure is not in place to collect.
If we little bit go back, right?
Sure.
What are the say top 2 or top 3 use cases you have seen which analytics or IoT or data science?
Yeah, so there are only 4 use cases, broadish. Okay. One is basically any kind of visibility.
Based on your example.
Yes, there are only 4 kind of broad use cases. One is giving visibility, or automated visibility into what's happening, because in the industrial world, only 10 to 15% of the assets are actually connected
Right.
to the IT side of enterprise apps. So moving that window to 30 to 40%, so basically increasing the visibility. Second is to do with providing all kinds of productivity input and data to both from the shop floor right up to the management layer, right? So different visualizations, different meanings of that data, but providing that outcome with respect to productivity, finding ways in which you can enhance that. Third is to do with you move from operational dashboards to essentially condition-based monitoring systems of different kinds, right? So it's the first level of analytics that you can do to understand with some domain know-how, okay, what is the condition of the machine that is being operated upon? Can I enhance the maintenance of it in some shape or form? Just with the
predictive
the next level would be predictive. Right? First is basically just getting the data out there and collecting, because one more thing is all the algorithms in the world are not going to be any good if you're not collecting the data in the right way, right? So a lot of pre-work is in just doing that. So first the condition-based monitoring, then predictive, and then a very small set of use cases that are in the machine learning side of it. There, again, the top things that people ask for are benchmarking, big thing. Let's say there's a big group, they have 40 plants. Does a lathe machine, or lathe is probably the wrong example, a particular stamping machine work the same across all 40 plants? What is the benchmark? How am I doing this?
Any client we can make?
So pretty much work a lot in automotive. So this is a big thing now in that sector. So everybody wants to have an understanding of how the plants are operating from a benchmarking perspective. And they also want to have access to how the suppliers are doing with respect to inventory, quality data, and things like that. So these are probably the top 3 or 4 things that we come across.
Mind you and your company have become like a weatherman, right? Now this monsoon is going to really bring a lot of chaos in supply chain, right? So if we move outside the plant, how weather data is playing a role worldwide or here in India?
I was actually wondering what question you were going to ask me, and in the meantime I was counting how many people are left in the room. So that's 89. So I'm just getting data conscious now. But the good thing is that the spread is very good. So no one seems to be sleeping and no one is doing emails. Yeah, but if all you tweet, we'll be all, this word will go around. The score will matter. So I think these are great points. So industrial revolution, it keeps affecting us. I think, and the acceleration we see in largely the automotive belt, right, or consumer goods, which are largely imported and some manufactured. So from a weather perspective, when you're looking at supply chain, you see the good thing in India is roads are improving. Okay, connectivity is improving tremendously, especially to the places where it mattered most and the last mile thing mattered most. The best thing comes to my mind is the Jammu Kashmir, the new tunnel road which is just made east now. Think about what's happening in Assam. So I think now the ability to put sensors on the road, sensors on the traveling trucks, no matter the size, is something which is doable. Now connectivity, 2G is committedly available everywhere. Okay, 3G is good to have in metros, 4G is yes, you have it in the phone, but you really don't observe it, and there's a big report in a couple of newspapers today. So with a lot of this connectivity happening, we will now see functional change in decision making. It is already happening somewhere, but I think it will going to go very intense. Now, once you have that level of data, then you are talking about what can I superimpose? Can I superimpose traffic? Can I superimpose weather? Can I superimpose holidays in cities? Can I superimpose bunds, like what we saw yesterday in MP, etc.? Now, with this real-time data, and mind you, some of these smart companies are already doing this. So I know of a company which is into logistics. Now they are taking Twitter data to figure out what are the happenings in the cities. Because if there's an event which has some reaction of public or government, it is tweeted fastest in India. Then the further time, national media picks it or paper media anyway gets it the next day morning, etc. Now, so a lot of decisions are being made, and I think we are at a cusp of defining those fine-tuning and defining and fine-tuning these models, which will probably happen for a period of time. But to say has the journey begun? I think journey is definitely begun, and we're going to really see businesses making very, very smart decisions with this ecosystem getting together. So think about what we heard about Loginext, think about what he's going to do on this thing, think about IBM getting in weather, and of course we'll anyway get our gear of hardware and software. Yeah, India will move definitely very fast.
So with weather data, definitely companies like Loginext.
Yeah, we are going to have good monsoon. There's a cloud cover which is phenomenal. I can show you a video I shot from the plane today morning. So we're going to get good weekend rain. So carry your umbrellas or don't carry them because there's a big respite going to happen on
They will be able to predict at what time their phone will be delivered at home.
Yeah. So install the weather channel, please, and I'm sure you'll be guided well.
Good. So, Vinay, this predictive maintenance, which I have seen like periodic maintenance in most of the plants, right? So, how this periodic maintenance piece, which is one of the very critical piece in Indian manufacturing, how this use case is actually taking up?
Yeah, it's a big kind of area to look at it from a use case perspective. Let's say a paint shop. I just take one example. Typical automotive is always a paint shop, final stage of the process. Huge area of work. The key point over here is that for data science to be relevant, there are 2-3 obviously standard things that are expected. One is the data set has to be large. There are to be many variables, and you typically do not know ahead of time what the correlations between all these variables are. So and again, actually,
I'm interrupting you. So I made that point, right? So are these companies, they have the data infrastructure? Are they collecting? Because if they have to redo that, they need to redo.
yeah, exactly. So that's why I took the paint shop example, because that's one place where we have found a lot of people already collecting a lot of data or having some kind of advanced infrastructure that can spout data, and therefore you can then use that as a starting point to add immediate value. See, one of the challenges of data science is otherwise, you're going to have, if you're getting something connected in the IoT world, which is not there up till now connected, that by itself is value, right? So you may not have big data there, but the fact that you have it done is something that is useful. Now for something that is spouting data, you have some kind of data. The challenge, happens is if you don't have a long history to that data, right? Then it's very difficult to have an algorithm that is going to have any degree of, accuracy that is better than you just taking a dartboard and throwing, right? So therefore, it's very important to pick up the right use cases that can give some immediate kind of benefit, and that is where, let's say, an example like a pinch of science, right? Kind of shines up. So as a data scientist, that's one of the major things that you want to look at. And unfortunately or fortunately, in a sense, it's not just about computing, it's as much about the domain and all that. So you need to have that street smarts as you look at different use cases in the industry. Where am I going to make, prove my value, right? And therefore, it's very important to identify places where data can exist in, some abundance, right? So that's where I would put that filter and say, okay, this is one area to do that.